This is a question that Cody Rhodes received at the press conference about Janelle Grant and the Vince McMahon documentary.
Janelle Grant story, do you personally believe what she's saying, and does the locker room believe it? Because the locker room has been awfully silent on this whole issue, the allegations about sex trafficking and rape.
Yeah. I think it's a great question. In terms of am I going to watch it? Not to sound cheeky by any means, I am deep in a Game of Thrones rewatch, and that is a hell of a lot of commitment. I don't know. I think there's a bit of misinformation in terms of WWE has no involvement in this documentary as far as I know. I imagine I would get around to seeing it. In terms of the more serious and the meat in your question, in terms of the locker room being quiet or silent, whatever it may be, I don't think that's a matter of belief versus non-belief. I think it's strictly speaking, we want to be doing what we were doing out there, and the focus and attention that it takes, 13,149 people to have a great story and have a great match and do that every single night has left most of us where we're finding the information out just as you are. And that includes the resolution of this information in terms of what happened, how it happened, and how justice comes about, whatever it may be. But I wouldn't look at it as an active attempt from the locker room to be silent in the attempt. We just are doing what we do day to day, WWE business.
Do you believe her?
I'm sorry?
Do you believe Janelle Grant?
Oh, I don't know enough about the information to give you a good enough answer there. I'm sorry.
So that was Cody Rhodes at the Bash at Berlin post-show press conference answering a question about the Janelle Grant allegations and the Vince McMahon documentary. I believe the question from the reporter, which I'm sorry I didn't get the name of, but thank you, reporter, for asking that question so that we can have this discussion. I believe it was something to the effect of the locker room has been kind of silent on this, and does that reflect in any way on how much do the performers themselves believe in the accusations? What did you think about Cody Rhodes' answer, Neil?
I think good on the reporter for asking the questions. These questions should still be asked. There's an open debate to be had about whether it should be the talent or whether it should be the executives of this company who are part of the lawsuit. People keep forgetting that this is not just Grant v. McMahon. It is a lawsuit against Vince McMahon, John Laurinaitis, and the company that owed her a duty of care. So I think that's important to emphasize at the get-go here. And I would not take huge issue with someone who said this is not Cody Rhodes's question to answer. Mm-hmm. It's really an executive's question to answer, and the executive that we get put in front of us is Triple H. And last time he was asked about it, he said, "I can't talk about legal stuff." I think that more or less his exact words.
We should also note, but sorry to cut you off, Paul Levesque was not present at the press conference because, according to this is a tweet from Wrestle Talk, Cody Rhodes took over Triple H's press conference duties of reading the records and stats as Triple H is going to see his daughter before she leaves for college. So Paul Levesque not present at this press conference
because Paul Levesque was in what seemed like a pre-taped segment during the pre-show. So perhaps that was done and before he even, maybe he's not even in Berlin at the moment. Mm. So Cody took on his role. Okay, I would like to know a little more about, that. But as I say, I wouldn't take issue too much with somebody who would argue that that's not the responsibility of your champion, of one of your talent to answer the question. But that said, a great credit to Cody Rhodes for giving a thoughtful and I think honest, and I think probably as far as he could go answer to that question. Slight discomfort at the very end where he's being asked, do you believe her? Do you believe her? You know, it's hard to put yourself in that spot, you know, because I know my own personal view on these matters in general, at my starting point at least, when accusations are made. But I think he answered the question well, and he deserves a great deal of credit for that. He could have dodged it. He could have said it's an ongoing legal matter. You know, Cody is clever enough. He's a smart guy he's smart enough to have thought, you know, I'm not going to go there, and I could come up with an answer why it's an ongoing legal matter and it's not really for me to answer that question. So I give him great credit.
Yeah. Cody has always impressed me in his ability to deal with the media. And that just happened to continue, you know, with an answer like this. Hard to say like how much credit we should be giving somebody for answers to like these sort of questions, because I feel like an answer like this should be the baseline. Like this should be what we should be expecting from everybody, and to just simply have like a coherent, thoughtful, still substantial answer without necessarily like giving too much information. I think that should just be like, that should be the norm, right? So I guess credit to Cody Rhodes for delivering what felt like a very normal answer, rather than like, you know, just shying away from the topic, showing that he's actually thinking about it and before speaking, and that he's not just dismissing it because of the sort of like, I don't know, scariness in the taboo nature of the topic. Talk to me about it like a real human being. And I thought he did a good job of conveying his actual like genuine reactions to it. We don't know enough. We are the wrestlers, and we want to focus on the performance, and we're reacting to the news in real time, just as all of you are. I think that's a perfectly substantial enough, like believable enough, and also like satisfying enough answer that you could expect from, you know, an active member of the roster. Not to say Paul Levesque can maybe get away with that same excuse, but I think even in his position, there's a lot more he could say. You know, even along similar lines, we don't know enough when we're reacting to all of this at the same time as you.
Exactly.
That we've never had from him. You know, in fact, it's been a lot more dismissive. Might come with a bit of a snarky comment at the people asking the question at the same time. Let's treat this like a dialogue, you know, between the public, who the press is supposed to represent, and the performers, and talk to us like you would talk to somebody like that you respected. You know, that's I think what we're all just looking for in these sort of discussions.
Absolutely. There's nothing whatsoever that's controversial in what Cody said. As you said, it's kind of a baseline for a human response to a question like that, where you know that he has some knowledge of the events. So playing completely dumb would be absolutely inauthentic. My issue with Triple H on this matter is that time and again he's fallen short of where he ought to be, in the sense that yes, he's his ballpark, his area is creative. He's their chief creative officer, but he's also a high-ranking executive in the company that is named in the lawsuit, and I think he has owed more to not just fans, but and you know, whoever wants to ask that question, because it's a very valid question to ask. And you know, he's gone from I haven't read it to I can't talk about legal stuff, you know, and I think apart from that, the most recent official statement that I can think of is when it's Chris Legentle, isn't it? Chris is his first name. Was interviewed fairly recently. He gave credit to John and to Brandon. Ironically, during a week when John was not admitted to the press conference, but people can decide whether that's, you know, just cock up or conspiracy. But anyway, he said when there are things we can say, we will say them, and when there are things that we can't comment on, we won't. We feel we've been as open as we can, or something like that. He said a little more than we've heard from Paul Levesque. But I think at the risk of repeating myself, this company is named in the lawsuit. The lawsuit, yes, has been paused, but there is definitely more that they and their spokespeople could say. And I don't think it's for the talent, particularly the junior talent. Cody has a lot of leeway. He's obviously being trusted here, and to more or less take the spot of Triple H in this press conference, which I haven't seen. Neither of us have seen it because we've been doing this podcast, and I haven't seen any of the reaction on social media yet either. But I can imagine that that reporter is getting an incredible amount of grief. As we speak, I've no doubt.
If you like this video, consider joining our Patreon, the Post Wrestling Cafe. Multiple bonus podcasts every week, ad-free shows, and access to our full archive. Otherwise, a like and subscribe is much appreciated. Thank you for watching.